Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, where we talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is New Music Picks 2026. I'll talk about 6 albums that came out over the last week, give my quick first impressions of them, and I'll talk about them in my order of preference, starting with Lamb of God and their new full-length album, Into Oblivion, the 12th album by this American groove metal band. They've got some metalcore, some sludge metal, some thrash metal influences. And I'm putting this one in my excellent tier. And I enjoy pretty much all of Lamb of God's work. A lot of it's excellent. They're a very consistent band, but they've never quite crossed into that near masterpiece tier for me with any of their work. I enjoyed the singles that I heard from this ahead of the album, which were Sepsis, Parasocial, Christ, Into Oblivion, and Blunt Force. And the whole album continues their excellence from their career. And I particularly like the track El Vaccio. I think I might have said that correctly. Not sure. It has some rare clean vocals for Lamb of God, and I like when they do clean vocals and mix them with their harsh vocals, like on this track. They don't do that too often throughout their career, but it's cool to hear here. And some of the polymetric guitar parts on that track are also pretty cool and remind me of the band Tool, which is a great thing for me. So that's my current favorite track on the album. And this could honestly be one of the best Lamb of God albums, but they are such a consistent band that it's hard to say for sure. So it'll take many more listens to really see how this stacks up to the rest of their catalog. But if you're a big fan of Lamb of God, they put out another quality one. They haven't fallen off the cliff in terms of quality or anything yet, so definitely check this out. Next up, I'm going to talk about Gong and their album Bright Spirit, the 17th album by this multinational band. It's psychedelic space rock. It's got jazz. It's got progressive influences. They've sometimes been classified as a Canterbury scene band because they're originally from that scene. I don't know that they sound that much like that scene anymore, although they probably did in their earlier days. I'm putting this in my excellent tier as well. And it's hard to count how many albums this band that formed in Paris in 1967 has. The current band Gong is now located in the UK. And I think this is their 17th release under the name Gong, but they also had 8 released under Pierre Moreland's Gong, 4 as Gongzilla, 1 as Gong Espresso, 1 as New York Gong, and a bunch as Mother Gong. Seemingly all with a different set of members that go off and form different branches of the Gong family tree and have different offshoots. But I thought their last official Gong album, Unending Ascending from 2023, was an excellent album. I was hoping this could be as good or better than that. And I'm not sure if I can call it better for sure yet, but I do think it's equally as excellent as their last album. And my favorite track currently is Dream of Mine, the opener that's 10.5 minutes long and the longest track on the album, and takes you on a nice psychedelic progressive journey. So check out Gong if that sounds appealing to you. And next up, I'm going to bring up Major Parkinson and their album Valesa, Chapter 2, Viva the Apocalypse, the 6th album from this Norwegian band. And this is experimental progressive art rock with synth pop and kind of a rock opera influence to it. As I believe this has some kind of storyline. I haven't followed the concept, but I guess it continues the concept of their last album as it's Chapter 2, and the last one was Chapter 1. And this I'm putting in my excellent tier as well. I thought Chapter 1 of Valesa from 2022 was good, but it wasn't as good for me as the earlier stuff I heard from Major Parkinson, though I haven't heard everything they've done yet. Previously, I always felt that the vocals in this band were very experimental and weird for me, but the music was interesting. It's unique, so I was still interested and respect this band. I'm starting to come around on the vocals more now after a couple listens to this one. I'm starting to like them more. And I enjoyed the singles for this new one that I heard right away ahead of time. Algorithm is a Dancer, Viva the Apocalypse, Super Dad. They're weird, but they're kind of fun and immediately catchy and interesting. And the whole album has really resonated with me a lot more than chapter 1 has. I love the 7 beat per bar vibe in Father Superior. I love the female guest vocals from Haley on that song. I also love Karma Supernova, which has some awesome 7 beat per bar moments as well, but also has some dancey 4/4 moments. Maybelline and Kiss Me Now end the album with a strong 1-2 punch of tracks that feature guest female vocals from Periwinkle, who does a great job. And even the male vocals on this album, they don't bother me as much as on their past albums. There's even a part in The Doctor in Command from 221 to 241 that made me think of Elton John trying to do a super hard rocking vocal. And this could be the best Major Parkinson album yet. I do need more listens to it and the rest of their catalog to be sure. But Karma Supernova is currently my favorite track on the album. So check it out if you like Major Parkinson or just kind of adventurous, unique, cinematic, experimental, progressive rock. Definitely check it out. And yeah, it's just a really good way to be kind of out there, but pretty accessible at the same time. Next up, I'll mention a live album from Dream Theater, Lost Not Forgotten Archives, live in Tokyo 2010. This, of course, is the legendary American progressive metal band. I'm putting this in my very good tier. This, of course, is just an archival live album, and this is a band I love, and I've heard all their studio albums many times, but I haven't done a deep dive into all their archival live stuff. But I really enjoyed this album, though, so I think I'll listen to more archival Dream Theater live stuff. It's not quite as strong of a live album as their one from last year, Calentième, Live à Paris, but this has, that one from last year was much longer and much more produced, like a more official live album compared to this just being like an archival release, which it's still pretty well produced and sounds good, but it's almost more like a bootleg kind of series, but done by the artist and well done, rather than like an official live album. And there's 6 tracks here, but the final one is a combination of Pull Me Under and Metropolis from Image and Words, so you get a 2-in-1 there. 4 of the other tracks are from what was their most recent album at the time in 2010, which was Black Clouds and Silver Linings. And the other one is Prophets of War from Systematic Chaos. And all the songs they chose on this live album are great. Of course, I love the vast majority of Dream Theater songs, and all their performances here are great too. But none of these live performances are better for me than the studio version. So that's kind of what's holding me back from putting this excellent tier and having this be something that I would revisit regularly. Next up is Iwar and their album Hugrheim. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is the 3rd album by this French band, and it's kind of surprising that they're French because they sound like Norwegian Vikings as they play in this dark Nordic pagan Viking neo-folk scene and sound, but they bring in EDM and trance influences that a lot of the others in the scene don't have. I'm putting this in my very good tier. I sometimes dabble in that dark Nordic neo-folk style of music because I'm curious about it, and it's always intrigued me, but I never got fully obsessed with any band in this genre yet. If you're a fan, though, of Halung and Wardruna, but want to hear those bands with more of an EDM and trance vibe to them, definitely check this out from Iwar. I enjoyed the singles I heard ahead of the album, which were Nodi's, Freya's Calling, and Hail Odin. And the whole album continues that vibe. It's one of the more interesting albums in this style of dark Nordic pagan Viking neofolk. So that's Hugrheim by Iwar. Check that out if that sounds good to you. And last one on my list for today is Soft Machine and their album 13. The 13th album by this band from the UK. It's instrumental jazz fusion. It's also kind of got that Canterbury scene label that Gong had as well, and progressive rock influences. And this is another band that started way back They put their first album out all the way back in 1968. And I thought their 12th album from 2024, Other Doors, was good, but it wasn't as good as the earlier stuff I've heard from Soft Machine. I haven't heard their full discography yet, but I really enjoyed a couple of their albums from the 70s, which were Third and Bundles. And I was hoping this could have some throwbacks to those, but not super optimistic because none of the musicians from those two albums are still in the band, and they've gone a lot more tamer, more elevator music direction now, despite them still having immense talent as instrumentalists. But I do like this album, 13 from Soft Machine, better than their last one, but not as much as Third or Bundles from the 70s. Theo Travis sounds amazing, as always, here on flute and saxophone, and some of his parts bring back memories of his playing on the album The Raven That Refused to Sing by Steven Wilson, which I love. So he always reminds me, hearing him reminds me of that album. And I think this album 13 could have been better if it had some vocals. I'm not sure why they haven't brought in a strong vocalist. I think they're just focused on being an instrumental band now. The guitar playing, though, is amazing, particularly in the solo on The Longest Night. The bass playing is amazing throughout. The drumming's solid. I love the flute and saxophone and keys too. Just a really solid instrumental album. I put in my very good tier. Could have been excellent tier if they added some strong vocals, I think. So lots of great releases came out. These all came out on March 13th, 2026. So there's another strong week of awesome stuff. It's a great year to be a progressive metal, progressive rock, and just metal and rock in general fan. And if you like metal, rock, and prog music, you're in the right place. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you think of these albums down in the comments. Did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Also let me know. My next video in this series will come out in about a week's time, and I'll give my first impressions of new music from the Deer Hunter, Garia, Poison the Well, Exodus, and Tusmork. So stay tuned for that, and peace out.